Welcome back to another episode of the Trash Talk podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about some Hearthstone in the first topic. We're going to have some fun, leisurely content in the second one, and of course, a crossword quiz, as always, in the halftime show. But first of all, we need to address the game of Hearthstone. Obviously, it's our main profession on this YouTube channel, if you didn't know this. And we had about 2 weeks now. Yeah, 2.5 weeks of the Ashes of Outland expansion. We had two balance updates within those 2 weeks, which is a record. And we had also a record number of complaints about the game, but also a record number of people joining and people really liking the game and being successful with the new system. So we're going to give you an update on what's currently going on. How is the meta looking? It's basically just a meta report, how we've been liking it so far, and what the future presumably looks like for the game. So JJ, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, and oh boy, the meta is
said that in a while.
Interesting.
It is very much looking interesting. So we had the kickoff about 2 weeks ago, or 2.5 weeks ago at this point. New Demon Hunter class obviously was all the rage, right? We came in and like literally half the ladder was playing one class because people got a lot of the cards for free with the introduction storyline, and it was extremely strong. And all the aggressive tools combined with enough lifesteal to just constantly, keep attacking with the hero.
That's the problem, right?
It was dominant.
If you give stuff out for free, you can expect that to be a good chunk of at least the lower ranks on the ladder. If it then also is very good, you're just gonna run into nothing else. We kind of saw that. I always think back to the Cthulhu days, right? When Old Gods first came out, the first couple of weeks, and you were playing ladder around like rank 20 to 15-ish.
Yeah.
Everything you face is Cthulhu decks. Like,
really? Was it also like the best archetypes?
Not really. It's like, that's what I was saying. Like, unlike the
free legend, right?
Like the ranks where all of the like bad to decent people were hanging around, you just get a lot of Cthulhu. Especially like the first couple of weeks when it's like you don't have pulled enough packs necessarily to build something else, and Cthulhu was free, so was 2 Beckoners, so you already have a bit of a build around. So I was in my Cthulhu deck actually running Convert at the time, just to steal one of the opponent's Cthulhu buffs to use it for myself. Yeah. It's like, so that is also what happened with Demon Hunter, except that you got a lot more stuff for free, and it's like incredibly good.
It's really strong because it's very aggro heavy. It's the class identity for Demon Hunter is not particularly varied. Usually, you get at least one type of control-oriented or combo-oriented deck, and you get a type of aggro-oriented deck out of every class's base set. And the classic cards are the cards that come along with it. Rarely does it happen that you have. Well, yeah, kind of, right? Like, rarely does it ever happen that you don't get a class play, that you don't get any class like playing 2 possible things or being able to play 2 possible things.
I mean, different
with
things,
Demon Hunter, it seems
yes, but you have, I mean, what you described is pretty much what that's like Warlock, Mage, and Warrior. That's what you got, what you just described. Maybe a little bit of Paladin, but it's like Priest has almost always been a control class. Hunter is pretty much always aggro or mid range,
but not all the time necessarily. I'm saying decks can be constructed from the set that comes around. And there's been an aggro priest at 53, I think, during Kobolds. There was obviously during the entire Rexar days. There was the Rexar Hunter, which just played late game, and with Demon Hunter so far we haven't really seen it. There's Highlander ideas, which are a bit more value oriented, but value oriented means you run a copy of Inner Demon and Kael'thas in Demon Hunter. That's the extent of value that they're looking at, because the cards are all designed to deal direct damage to opponents. The class identity is very simplistic, which a lot of people, of course, enjoy. It's not the most complicated thing to figure out. If you play Demon Hunter, you know what you do. There is, yes, but then you have the recruit, the 7/9 at taunt that recruits your demons, which is playable, obviously, but it's not doing anywhere near as well as the aggressive variety, and even that one is quite fast when it gets going.
According to HS Replay, the current win rate since the latest patch is Tempo Demon Hunter is 54.6, Big Demon Hunter is 51.1, and Highlander is 50% exactly.
Right.
So
Demon Hunter is still winning. And there have been 2 balance updates, in which both of which Demon Hunter has been the primary class being addressed.
I mean, to be fair, those I would just mention the the three most winning archetypes, of course. But my point was that Big Demon Hunter is better than Highlander Demon Hunter according to win rates.
Yeah. I think the majority of what we're seeing is the tempo one, and then you got some Kael'thas builds every once in a while. I've never played a Big Demon Hunter. I've never ran into.
I mean, the popularity also indicates that 15% of all Demon Hunter decks are tempo, almost 15%, and then you got like 3% token, 1% big, 1% OTK, 1% Highlander, and like 0.5%.
Right. Yeah. That's not particularly surprising. So a lot of people had complaints about the class, obviously.
Oh wait, is that popularity? Oh, that's popularity overall. I thought it was in class.
It's overall
15% or almost 15% of decks that are being played are Tempo Demon Hunter.
And that's not a lot anymore. It used to be like close to literally half of the ladder.
Well, yeah, but that's just one archetype. You get about 20% of just Demon Hunter, which I guess is fine. That is a fifth in a game with 10 classes. So it's not that horrible.
That happens.
But still,
because barely anyone plays Shaman or Warrior at the moment, so that happens. But it used to be like half, and people complained, rightfully so. And they they addressed like Skull of Gul'dan, which seemed like one of the more broken cards, and now more recently, second balance up there, we had Battle Fiend, some of the more early game options. And obviously, it slowed it down a little bit, but I think we have to say that they hit it pretty well because the class wasn't destroyed. So it's still very strong, but not something we haven't seen before. Yeah, We've seen higher win rates than 54%.
I think at least some of the basic cards might end up still being adjusted in the future when we got more of an overall card pool to play with for the class. Of course, having a classic set would also help establish the baseline, because right now I'm kind of looking at the Initiate set as like the closest thing we have to a classic set, and that is a little powerful for a classic set. But it isn't. That's not what it is, though, on paper. So, like, when they make a classic set, they said it's not just going to be just the Demon Hunter Initiate cards, which also are too many anyways. But, so I think we're going to see some more Demon Hunter nerfs. Maybe not even during this expansion, but we're going to see some more, I think.
We're going to see.
Right now, it's in a healthy place as a class.
Yeah, it's definitely in a balanced place. It hasn't happened before that they introduced a new class to the game, so to expect it to be perfectly balanced and fitting into the meta pool right away with a new expansion rotating and a new year rotating on top of that, that's a bit much to expect, I think. So it was kind of
you have testing teams. I mean, there's card games that have been around for significantly longer than Hearthstone that release new card sets regularly and that end up creating rather healthy meta games, even in some of the formats that contain cards of like years and years, without too much incident, because they do playtesting. So that
I mean, Hearthstone does playtesting for sure, but you can't possibly playtest as much as will be played. Is simply the truth. You can't playtest millions and millions of games and millions of people constructing ideas. We've had situations like this where basically stuff was broken in the game because they couldn't playtest it to the extent, or they just flat out didn't think about some things. Like remember Shutterwalk, the Shutterwalk combo at the beginning, for example.
I think the answer to that, by the way, is just something that we've seen Magic the Gathering do, and that is they started employing former competitive players as playtesters. So they got the best or some of the best players out there to actively try to break it, so that when they would release cards, that it would actually be balanced. Of course, in that case, more relevant than in Hearthstone, because in Hearthstone, if something is broken, you just patch it. In a physical card game, you can't really do that as much.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a bigger problem. Once the card's out there, it's out there. But I feel like right now we're in a decent place. It's no longer all over the place. People still like to meme about it and complain, but the reality is it's definitely not the most frustrating thing to face. There's always, it never was. There always was, or always will be much worse or unhealthy / toxic around that you see all the time. that people complain about more rightfully than about Demon Hunter. So
yeah, and
right now we're doing fine.
And one thing that I noticed as well when looking at the meta right now, first of all, the most winning archetype is not a Demon Hunter, which is worth noting. Demon Hunter only comes in place 3, with the Tempo Demon Hunter being the 3rd most successful deck after Murloc Paladin, which surprised me a little bit. I mean, it was an up-and-coming deck, but it's doing really well right now. And the Galakrond Secret Rogue, which was already really good before the nerfs, of course, and wasn't specifically hit.
And that's, for example, one of the examples of decks that are much, much less enjoyable to play against than Demon Hunter. And you get the Priest, you get any variety of the Spell Mage. So I think the hate on Demon Hunter right now is very much overdone. It's just a new thing that people really love to hate on at the moment. But when we give it some time and look at it objectively, well, I think a lot of people will figure out that this is not really the big bad, right?
You mentioned Spell Mage. You cannot possibly justify nerfing Spell Mage. It has a 49.81% win rate. It's
no, I'm not saying it's the best deck, but I've given the speech a million times. Mage is the worst class to play against, because it's a 50-50 chance no matter what. I mean, do I need to give the whole speech again? Okay, I will do it. Mage, the way that Mage, the class, has been developed more and more over the last 2 years is fundamentally terrible and flawed, because the only class-specific mechanic that Mage has is RNG, and that's the only thing that Mage has right now. So basically, there is no user involvement. Like, playing against Mage is like watching a cutscene almost, because there's barely anything you can do to influence the outcome. And that's if you play Mage or if you play against Mage, much more so than with any other class or archetype in the game, which is why Mage is not fun to be around. A lot of people like to play it because they don't really care about like competitive play and like getting really high ranks. They just want to see random stuff happen. But to play against it and then potentially to lose against it while you do care about competitive play is one of the most frustrating experiences in Hearthstone, and that's why I don't like what the Mage class is looking like.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't like how the Mage class has pretty much completely devolved into like, hey, generate random spells, and then it gets, of course, worse by the fact that, not in Standard, luckily, anymore, but cards like Open the Waygate, where it's like, hey, you definitely want to play random spells. It's like, I don't know.
The Open the Waygate was sort of a problem. And they got nerfed recently because in Wild, I guess, it became too much of a problem.
I mean, you've got Evocation, which is just people single-handedly finishing the quest.
By allowing people to the cards get discarded, but it definitely helps with it. By allowing people to have a justification for playing the random stuff, and it becomes actually controllably strong. And then it breaks the game because now you do nothing and you win. So I see why that was done. And I didn't like the card when it was in the meta. In the Standard game, because I never really appreciated the deck and the way that it was played. But frankly, from day one, Mage has always been my least favorite class, and it's the only class that I've seriously really never played at all. And it's only gotten worse from there. So that's always the first thing you'll find me addressing and complaining about when someone is talking about how unfun and interactive Demon Hunter is, because that's simply not true. Like, you can play anti-demon stuff, you can play taunts, you can play weapon removal, you can play a million different things to counter Demon Hunter and Warlock and Paladin and Warrior and everything that you want to counter.
You can play Sack Pact, you can't play that anymore.
You can't play that anymore to counter Demon Hunter, but you simply can't counter Caligos giving him a Pyroblast on turn 10 guaranteed. You can't counter it. So that's always what I have to say about that. I think Demon Hunter really is not the big scapegoat, or shouldn't be the big scapegoat in the meta, to me, personally.
Yeah, no, Demon Hunter is very powerful, I'll give you that, and it is still very much, I think, played more than it should be. Which, by the way, might mean that Tempo Demon Hunter might still be the best deck in the meta, mind you. It's played so much by beginning players that of course, ruins the overall win rate. I would assume that beginning players probably aren't playing something like Galakrond Secret Rogue as much. There's a lot of legends in there. Yeah. It's a little bit more complicated to play compared to the very straightforward Tempo Demon Hunter that contains, in a big chunk, just free cards.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in all honesty, if you look at professional players or like competitive level players, or even just like, I kind of would like to see the more filtered by rank stats, but I know on HS Replay at the very least you gotta pay to do that, and that's not what I'm all about. But
yeah, I know.
Global win rates are still looking very good, despite it being so highly played.
Yeah, so I guess the conclusion is that a lot of people love to hate on Demon Hunter. Like, a lot of people love to hate on the new thing, the trend. But look at it from an objective point of view. And is Demon Hunter really a problem? No, it's not. It's not anymore. It might have developed into a problem had it been untouched for the entire time, and with all the cards unnerfed for the entire time, because the win rates were enormous. It was 55% plus while being played by half the population, which reduces the overall win rate artificially. And it would have developed into a situation where it might have been oppressive and it might have been the main problem in the game, but it's most certainly not at the moment.
Yeah, right now I was just checking if there was a Vicious Syndicate Data Reaper report, because those are broken down by level of play as well. The problem is I only have the pre-nerf stats, where the...
Pre-second nerf?
Pre-second nerf, yes. It says 14th. I think 8th to 14th, I believe that is after the first.
All
right. Where they have Aggro Demon Hunter listed as between Diamond 10 and 5 with a 57.34% win rate, followed by Control Warlock with a 54.1. So it's got like over 3% points over the second best deck, and
that's a lot.
Pretty much stays very similar going higher to Legend. So pretty much Diamond 10 through Legend is just by at least 2% points the best deck at that point. So that also explains why the second nerf was definitely justified.
Yeah, you can assume that at this point it's pretty much in order. The win rate's undoubtedly positive still. It's probably 53 plus when it's all the dust has settled. But
I mean, the Tempo Demon Hunter has, according to HS Replay right now, has 54.62. So that is and that is including newer players playing it, and which, by the way, I would still recommend it to newer players. It's like a comparatively cheap deck, and it's very much a very straightforward deck as well.
Still a deck, absolutely.
Even Murloc Paladin, it's the most winningest deck right now.
Yeah.
It's also not that expensive.
Murloc Paladin's also like Face Hunter. You look at sort of the stuff that's just easy and simple for people to get into.
Because Murloc Paladin only runs one legend. I mean, the Octozari version is doing slightly better. That runs 2 legends. But I think Tempo Demon Hunter also runs multiple legends, including non-free ones. Yeah, you got
you have K Metamorphosis, and some people tech in Maiev.
Okay, Maiev is not necessary for sure, but
it's not a core card. But K and Metamorphosis
are rather important. So it's actually Murloc Paladin would be cheaper on the dust probably than Tempo Demon Hunter, and it has a better win rate. So, if you're looking for a deck to play, I would like to point you in that direction.
Try some stuff out, absolutely. Or even better, subscribe to TrashcanTV, because we are putting all of the eggs in one basket, and we're launching a big new budget series coming like in a few weeks, like in May.
And of course,
when we have started research.
Yeah, and if you're watching this and you somehow didn't know that already, we tend to release a list of budget decks for every expansion. We try making one for every class, but the last couple of times that didn't quite work out, because A, there's usually 1 or 2 classes that just suck, and B, Blizzard is just updating the meta too much to really...
It gets harder and harder to hit every class, because sometimes you'll have class like during... Was it Rostak? No, it wasn't during Rostak. During Rise of Shadows, for example, when the only viable ladder mage with a 50% or plus win rate had 7 legends in it. And there's simply no way to make a budget-friendly mage that you can actually seriously climb the ranks with.
That's going to be the same this time around, probably. We could try building a tempo mage, but I doubt it's going to do well.
We're having a tough time with classes like mage and rogue, trying to really find some budget options. We're gonna do our best, but if that's not happening, we're gonna not do it because we want to present only actually winning decks. We're not gonna force classes out if the decks aren't good. So that's gonna be determined in playtesting, of course, when we get there. It takes a couple more weeks, but big new budget series coming, the best budget series of all time. I can promise that because this is by far the one we're putting the most work into, and that's why it's gonna be a bit more. Give it 3 to 4 more weeks, but it's gonna be really, really good. So that's that.
And I would argue that at its best, we might get some of the best budget decks we've ever had.
Yeah, we will.
Because just looking at what we've been looking at so far, there's a lot of very strong decks that are very competitive. Because we've had a lot of the hey, mid-range hunter is a deck that doesn't have a losing win rate and doesn't require legends, but it's always you'll be running around your 51% sort of a win rate. And I think we can build some decks that confidently have 53% even without legends. Sort of.
And then that's where we come in and we tweak it a little bit. We test it for a few weeks and we chop up the win rate by 1% or 2%, and then we drop it out to you, and the maximized version of the thing. And that's what's going to happen again. It's going to be glorious. But that's it for Hearthstone, I think, for the day. Meta report. Let's hop into the fact of the week. What are you saying, JJ? You're mouthing stuff.
It was just the Glorious Domination lyrics.
Ah, okay. Let's do fact of the week, JJ. What's your fact?
Yes,
the Robert Roode intro song.
Oh, I still don't like the name change. I think Bobby Roode is just
it was much better. I'm gonna look up my fact here too.
My fact of the week is about something that I personally like very much, and that is comic books. And now you probably won't know about this, you Alex, but you the viewer might. DC, of course.
Ask me. I know, I swear.
I'm not sure how I'm supposed to ask that. I was going to talk about a character that you have probably never heard of, and
Are you sure?
I'm not sure how to ask you if you know that character without just,
Is it John Arbuckle?
No.
That's unfortunate.
This has nothing to do with Garfield or generally newspaper comic strips. It's more
How about Gazorp Field?
What did you say? I didn't. Oh,
Gazorp Field.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, Rick and Morty is coming back in a week or 2.
Yeah, May 3rd. May 3rd. Episode 6. Get ready.
They might have as well just called it separate seasons at that point. They did a really long break. I'm just waiting for the announcement that they didn't finish animating all the episodes, and then because of COVID that got delayed. Because every TV show apparently did.
Probably.
So some people might be familiar with the character of Green Lantern. The original Green Lantern, of course, was Alan Scott, but in the Silver Age of comics, Hal Jordan became the de facto, the most well-known Green Lantern. And DC Comics introduced that character in the year 1959. At least that's what my sources tell me. Marvel Comics, their biggest competitor, a couple years prior to that, in 1945, created a character by the name of Hal Jordans, who happened to, not unlike Hal Jordan, also be a pilot, looks very similar, and pretty much has the same name. And he was introduced 14 years earlier. The only difference is he never became Green Lantern, because Green Lantern isn't a thing in Marvel Comics. So, I thought it was a very...
Is that a superhero?
Yes.
Alright.
So...
I mean, you never specified that.
I didn't specifically specify that, that is true. My point is that this rather well-known DC character is
a ripoff.
I mean, kind of. It's the thing is, the Marvel version of Hal Jordan's appeared, I think, literally once.
It's a ripoff.
And so it's not like he was ever an important character. But Marvel can always say, we invented him first.
Noticed it? Yeah, exactly. If it walks like a duck and if it quacks like a duck, it's probably a goose. Just saying.
I always say that too.
My fact of the week is that once when in Egypt the remains of King Ramses II were unearthed, the Egyptian government issued an official passport to the skeletal remains so the mummy could be deported to France for an examination. They had like a passport for the guy, and they took a picture of the skull and bones and all.
Yeah, I believe you've told me that before. I'm not sure if that was in one of these segments, but I'm fairly certain you've told me that before at one point or other. So, yes.
Yeah, they made a passport for a guy who's been dead for thousands of years. And then they shipped him to France. That's my fact of the week. What are you looking at?
I was just trying to see if it by any chance, because I didn't look this up before, but no. I was going to see if it was the same writer by any chance who wrote the Hal Jordan and Hal Jordan's comics, because knowing a random side character from your competitor doesn't exactly seem like a thing back in the 50s.
You don't think so?
Because back then you couldn't just look it up on the internet, you would have known it. I mean, there's also a bunch of things where just like a writer got something wrong about a character that they were writing for, and it just no one ever caught it because you couldn't just look it up on the internet.
The 50s was the genesis phase of economic espionage, man. Like you believe honestly that the one company hasn't read every single comic strip of every page of everything that the other company printed to a detail? Obviously they would know. Total ripoff. But that's the fact of the week. Let us know your fact in the comments. JJ, we got business to attend to. Once again.
We do. It is
the
crosswords, and today's is Noah's Ark. Alex doesn't know the Bible, so this will be interesting.
I don't know the Bible at all. Now, we have a reputation to defend, and this is going to be the hardest challenge.
Wait, did you ever look up what our streak is right now?
I think it's 4. I think it's 4 in a row. That means we, like, for 4 weeks in a row, it might have even been 5, but for 4 or 5 weeks in a row, we beat the crossword every single week. This one, 20 minutes. Noah's Ark. The biggest challenge. I don't know anything about the Bible.
Swine
I know Noah's Ark.
Hangout.
I've heard of it. A sty? A pigsty?
Sty? How would you spell that? Oh, there you go.
Y.
Got it.
Y, yeah.
Form of to be. R? Yes. Restaurant handout would be a menu, I suppose. Yes, it is.
Oh, I would have thought food.
No.
But cool.
TX University, I suppose, is Texas University, which makes it the University of something.
University of Texas. You could try UTEP, Texas El Paso.
UTEP.
Or SA, San Antonio. UTSA.
UTSA. That is correct.
That is it.
Florida City is it Toledo? Wait, is that in Florida? Yeah, that is.
Wait, no, it's Tampa.
Tampa. Oh, right. Obviously, yes. Yeah. I'm an idiot. Dodge
Toledo,
truck is a Ram. Belch.
What?
To belch, I suppose. Italian ice chain. What? QES period counterpart. I don't even know what that abbreviation stands for. Oh wait, is it ANS? Oh yeah, it's question and answer, that's what it was. Female undergarment, I suppose a bra. Yes, it is.
Sometimes these clues are really like more confusing than the answer.
Yes. Colosseum, for example.
Ruin.
The A in BA. Ruin.
Arts. It's a Bachelor of Arts.
Oh, that's what they were going for. Which makes the Italian ice cream chain Rita something. Is it Rita's?
Rita's.
I didn't know that, but it made sense. Restful place. I don't know. Let's see. Noah's Ark residence. Oh, is it just like all of the animals and shit that they put on there?
All of them?
Well, I mean, not all of them, because obviously there's like 5 different answers here, but...
I know what it is.
Antioxidant berry. Singer KD.
Katie Lang.
Salon sounds. Parisian honey. Building blocks. Is it brick? Wait, it would have to be plural, right? Also, it's not.
Lego.
If only I could type. It is Lego.
This could be right, actually. Wow.
What do we have? Lou Gehrig's disease. Is it ALS?
ALS, yeah.
I have no clue who that is, but with the letter L in the center.
No. It's not. It's also called Lou Gehrig's disease.
Oh, I did not know that.
It's another name for ALS.
I just saw 3 letters disease with an L in the middle, and I was like, is it ALS? Erie or Suez? Was it a canal? Yeah, I thought so. Cartoon genre.
That's yours. I don't know.
I would think so, but I don't know. Antioxidant berry starts with AC. I mean, the point is just a berry that starts with AC and has 4 letters.
Yeah.
I still don't know what that is.
What is this? What's salon sound? Like a barber shop?
I don't know. Is it snaps? No, it's not.
How about snips?
It is snips. Wow. Parisian honey apparently starts with an A, so there's that.
Okay. What's the bottom right one?
Genre seems like we almost have it, and there's still the animal here. I assume it's a web designer's concern is probably SEO, which stands for search engine optimization.
Been there.
Full of attitude. Noah's Ark residence. Summer sign ? And Noah's requirement plus a hint to the other highlights.
His requirement? He had a requirement?
Pepper's...
Is the summer sign, are we talking about zodiacs or is it Leo?
It is. Pepper's pal is probably salt.
Yeah.
Afresh again. It's not refresh.
Yeah.
Sat no more. Got up doesn't fit.
Stood.
Oh, that does make sense. Stood.
And full of attitude is sassy, by the way, because there's only S's so far.
Yeah, that one. So, Noah's Ark resident, there is one that starts with an A, apparently, and then there is something, we'll get there. On top of, in an ode. I think those are separate hints.
Or. No, it's the same hint. Like they use in odes when they write or.
What or?
Like or the land of the free or OER.
OER, okay.
Which is just a one syllable substitution for over. Yeah.
Membership cost is a fee, I suppose. Yes, it is.
Yes.
Oh, is it like 2 of each species? 2 of each species?
That doesn't fit.
Something like that. It's 2 of each something. Because it was like, it's 2 animals of each kind. That's the whole point. And then it's definitely genetically stable enough to reproduce off of. Formal neck wear.
Tie.
Oh, that
fits with the E.
Yeah.
Got it.
Balls delivered in cricket.
They're called overs, but it doesn't fit with the A. Or is there a different kind?
Overs. It does. Also, it's not that. Okay.
Is it one of every species?
Is it kind? Something like that.
Thing?
Oh, that might be it. Yeah, 2 of everything.
Oh, yeah, we got it. Let's go. That's huge. That is huge. That's a big one.
Israeli city. Blank Aviv is Tell.
Tell.
Oyster gift. Is it Pearl?
Pearl, yeah.
Yes, it is. Tap affectionately. Okay. Restful place.
It's at the spa. Spa now, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Sicilian volcano.
Etna.
course he knows that. Which means that tap affectionately...
Who doesn't know that?
Oh, it's Pat is the tap affectionately.
Ah, okay.
Oh, wait. Does it say pig?
What? So are they all that? Is it ant? Is the other one ant? Is it really all that?
It's just twice everything. Do you know what the berry is by any chance?
That's the worst.
AC blank I. We also have this Parisian honey, which is A blank IE. And cartoon genre, which I still don't exactly know, but...
Oh, dude, it's anime. It's that Japanese stuff, man, that Sergey watches.
Is it a genre?
I guess.
Volleyball barrier is a net. Pokemon protagonist is Ash. Oscar Knight rides limos. Yes, elbow somewhere in here, whatever that is. Subject for some green card holders, okay. Give blank a break. Wait, give blank break. Oh, it's me a. Yeah. What is it? This one is Noah's Ark resident. We'll probably know more if we have more letters. Small salamander is a newt.
We know the first letter is an O.
And then it's owl. Probably no.
And the second one's W, so it's owl.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, no, that's. I was just gonna get the entire second half and then just type it out, but that works. Yeah. So windstorm is gale. And potato chip company is Lay's, I suppose.
Lay's, yeah, they make air in bags.
How is that? Is it that? No.
Lays.
It's Y. See, I knew it, but I didn't know how it's spelled. Kids adhesive.
Kids adhesive paste.
Okay.
What else could it be?
And then this is, what is this? Texas Hold'em org, I suppose origin? WP?
T. The World Poker Tour. It's organization, right?
Organization, that's what it was. Like some microbrews.
No, man.
Oh, wow, Garland. I cannot guarantee that I pronounced that correctly.
Oahu is correct, yeah. What's the
Taj Mahal locale.
Agra?
Yes.
Right.
One of the 5 tastes. Sweet? No. Salty?
Sour doesn't fit.
Bitter. That doesn't fit either.
Doesn't fit. So umami.
What?
UMAMI. The letter U. UMAMI.
What the fuck?
Have you never heard of that?
I think so, but still, what the fuck? Is it? Wait, what is it? Is it malty?
Malty.
Yeah.
Malty, because malt is an ingredient in brews.
Yeah. Wow. Garland starts with an L. Then Glasgow soccer.
Lay. That's what they're called. Lay.
What lay?
EI. It's Hawaiian, so it's all weird. So it's
Ire is rage. Is that it? That's
rage.
Weird. Imaging technique for short. I mean, I've heard of MRI, but I don't know what.
It's I guess fMRI, huh?
Fair enough. USA Intelligence Agency is the Central Intelligence Agency. Staircase component is a step. Karate Kid Dojo with Cobra. Miner's goal is war, I suppose, and then we can probably just do the down ones. Boxing result, maybe. TKO.
Technical KO.
Home to the Stapes and Incas. Excuse me?
The ear. The ear,
okay.
The human ear.
Crusty dessert is pie, and then it's Kai. Cobra Kai. Yeah, I have heard of Cobra Kai before. Basketballer Ming. Is it Yao?
Yao Ming. No, we skipped over that completely.
PC key. There's a couple. Is it alt? It's alt.
Yes, and rear. Cool. We know the third letter
also
in the
LSU
word needs
is
to be
in there, which is an SEC school, which I would have known.
Yes. The third letter in the next blue word is an I.
Well, yes, but that is not... Wait, what? T. It's a T.
A T, sorry, it's a T. Yeah, I miss
Canonized femme briefly. Noah's Ark resident, obviously. Prolonged pains. Is it aches? Yeah. Waterside plants. There's a bunch of those.
Reeds.
Yes. Tennis serve redo.
Oh my god.
Lucy's sitcom neighbor. Yield by treaty.
Oh, seed.
That makes sense. Kind of profession? Professor? Prof.
Kind of. Oh, the assistant. The ASST.
Oh, fair enough.
And
I hate it when they play around with abbreviations. The Lion King villain is Scar. I'm not sure if he's spelled that way. Yes, he is. Shut up to Caesar. Which means we now have to know Latin, I suppose.
Maybe Italian. Wasn't Italian.
I don't know.
We know the second letter is A.
Oh, right. It's cat. Yeah.
Cat.
So can I ask femme briefly? Oh wait, that's something Catholic, isn't it? It has something to do with saints. Is there a female version of saint, maybe?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, STE.
STE. Okay.
I would have not thought of that. Okay.
Tennis serve redo.
Oh my god, 4 letters we got.
Blank ET, and this is what
5 minutes. I don't know either, but we easily have it. Do the thing where you punch the keyboard.
Yeah, I know. I was just trying to see if there is a sensible letter specifically.
Shit.
Ethel, that is a name. Let.
Makes sense. We made it once again.
The streak is alive, and I would like to make it a point to maybe look up what our streak is before we start the next one. Yeah. So we actually know exactly.
Let us know in the comments. Go if anyone has been paying attention. How many in a row have we knocked out? And then we're gonna go streaking here. We're gonna make it happen. Going all the way to the end, which there is none because there's 1 quiz a week being added to this list.
I think they're still adding them too.
Yeah.
I think there was like 37 there when we started, and there's like 46 now. So.
And we'll never run out of them.
We're just going to keep doing this until Brock Lesnar beats us, huh?
Yeah, I guess. That's how
Remember the streak?
I remember the streak. I was there.
You probably were.
Not personally, but mentally, I was very much there when it happened. I still have the image of the guy in the front row with the Just Say Yes t-shirt with yeah, that I was there mentally. I've seen it many times. We beat it again. Let's hop into the second topic and take it a bit more easy with some easy discussions. And something that we like to do a lot is ask hypotheticals.
Well,
but what if we didn't do that?
Well, we do.
It doesn't matter because we do. Exactly.
In this case, we took them obviously from one of our favorite sources for this sort of thing, conversationstartersworld.com. Because obviously we do.
Oh, it's .com? Was it not .net? Is it not .net? Am I going crazy?
It is .com.
Did I remember it?
You might be thinking of icebreaker ideas. That might have been one of them.
Do I remember them correctly? Are they both? I don't know. I always remember .net. Okay.
Icebreaker ideas is also .com. I don't know.
That's weird. Okay, whatever. We are on Conversation Starters World. If you Google that, you'll find it.
I mean, also, if you just Google anything else, like conversation starters or like hypothetical questions, it's probably going to come up because they've got crazy good SEO.
They got their SEO. Dude, for real. JJ, let's talk hypotheticals.
Well, I guess let's just go through these. And the more interesting they are, the longer we're going to talk about them. If you were a Transformer, what vehicle would you turn into? This, by the way, references, of course, the Transformer toy lines and later also movies and cartoons, in case you didn't know.
Yeah, airplane carrier, because then I can move on water and I have parts that can fly. Most versatile. What's the point of turning yourself into like a car? You're just a faster version of yourself, right?
I mean, to be fair, it doesn't say which vehicle would you want to turn into. It says what would you. And I mean,
what would you?
The question is, of course, what would you base it on, right?
I don't know.
I would almost say that for me, it's probably just some like regular, average sort of a car, right? Like it's like practical enough, but nothing flashy, right? Like
for you, it's one of those shopping cars with the back left wheel broken that you get, and you can only turn it one way properly. And
I was just thinking like just a regular car, like nothing, not like a fancy racing car or like a huge truck, but just something that like is sufficiently good enough to get you places. You know, basically like how I pick up cars. Like, it's like I have a car, it drives, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, it can drive, and that's it. Yeah, I thought like a bit more interestingly, like you could pick what transform.
Maybe I'd be a Tesla because I really like technology.
A Tesla, that's a good idea, and you got to charge yourself 8 hours a night too.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I don't think we ever see any of the Transformers refuel in any of the sources, so I mean they're pretty much magic anyways.
Okay, so you're gonna be a Tesla that doesn't need charging. That's of course an optimal car.
I'm gonna be stealthy.
Why not? Yeah.
I mean, not visually, but just like sound wise.
I'll be like I'll be an ice cream truck. Why not? You always got your supply. But if I had to pick, of course, boat with airplanes.
What laws would you abolish if you could? What laws would you create? Okay, that's probably just the topic for the rest of the episode.
No. We gotta skip that one. We're skipping that one.
Okay. If extra lives were a thing in the real world, how would you get them?
Die. And then the next one happens.
No, I mean, I guess they're thinking like in a video game, right? When you have like a certain amount of one-ups and
pick
like...
them up. Yeah, right.
Murder.
Eat weird mushrooms and hope that like Mario style.
I mean, that's definitely the first one that I was thinking of course, the one on mushroom.
Yeah.
I was thinking like practically, it would have to be something that makes sense, and collecting 100 coins definitely ain't it. Which is also a thing you can do in Mario, of course.
You gotta sacrifice the spirit of something else.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, right? Like if you kill someone, you get an extra life, but that's also like obviously that is gonna very much affect how human beings work. If murder is now actively rewarded,
it would pretty much be a battle royale, though, right? Because like say the population goes in half, everyone kills someone. Now everyone has two lives basically, and
there can only be one
until the last person has like 7 billion lives, and the entire planet to himself. Where would you get an extra life? So some cultures actually believe that it's related to the exact opposite of what we said, which is by saving someone's life. So like basically you save someone's life, they owe you their soul or something, or their fate. I don't know, man. It's weird stuff, but I think there's definitely people in the eastern part of the world that have that sort of cultural stuff going on, along with a lot of other cultural stuff. But like practically, this is so far off of anything. Like how to even answer this is an hypothetical, right? I could make up anything and would make the same amount of sense.
That's the thing, right? It's like, how do you get an extra life? Well, whomsoever designed that or howsoever it evolved, they just determines that. And
so the most practical answer might just be by dying, right? Because that way,
but that way everyone has infinite lives, right?
Yeah, but that way, like whenever you die, you get an extra life, and you're not wasting extra lives by stacking them. So you only ever get one at a time.
I mean, I can tell you how it would work. I can tell you how it would actually work in the real world if it became possible. By paying lots of money.
Yeah, buy it.
You just buy them.
Exactly. Just buy it, man. Yeah, exactly. That's how it would work. Because someone would patent it and then sell it for way too much. Absolutely. The extra life machine.
Here is another nickel in it,
and that's how it's operated.
If you were a food, what food would you be? I have an inclination I know what your answer is.
You know what my answer is?
No, do I not?
Do you?
I thought you turned yourself into a pickle. Funniest shit I've ever seen.
Oh, I mean that is the funniest shit I've ever seen. Yeah. It's not a very it's not that nutritious though, is it? I guess you want to be like something very toxic or something, so no one will eat you.
I was about to say if it's what would you want to be? Obviously something that would not be eaten. Or maybe some that would be eaten, because I would not want to live as a food necessarily. Although I guess technically you could argue that a human is also just not yet prepared food, right? Like,
what constitutes food, right? Anything that's edible.
I would be human meat with all of the other stuff still on it. That is what I am.
Exactly. I'd be human. I don't know. I guess they mean things that humans conventionally eat.
I mean, humans can eat humans. That's not exactly
conventionally.
I mean, it's all just a cultural thing.
You have been low-key pushing cannibalism way too hard for way too long on this show.
There is absolutely nothing wrong with cannibalism, okay? The only reason why we don't do it is because it used to be very unhygienic. But now that we could do it properly, there is really nothing but a lot of cultural stigma stopping us from actually doing it.
Here's the thing, right? Okay, we're doing this, right? If you did it, right, you would say that it can only be done on people who have died naturally. Like, you can't kill anyone for it, obviously. You can't kill someone.
Okay, the most people that die naturally probably wouldn't exactly have the best quality meat. I admit that.
Exactly, because they'd be like 80 plus, so you wouldn't want to eat that stuff. And you can't kill anyone.
Bikers.
Bikers.
They die in gruesome accidents.
They're also like 20 plus.
Well, yeah.
Like,
babies. Dude, babies die all the time. Okay, I know that it sounds a lot more macabre than if you're eating an adult human. JJ wants
to eat babies.
Somehow it sounds worse, doesn't it?
My name is Glibglob, and I came to this planet to eat babies.
Okay, why does eating babies sound worse than eating adult humans? I don't get it. I mean, I understand that it sounds worse, but
because when you talk about the eating a human thing, a lot of people associate it with you're also killing that human.
Okay, like, listen, I'm not saying we should kill people to eat them. I'm just saying that if someone was already dead, or there was something amputated from someone or whatever, I don't see a reason not to eat it.
Maybe
at least morally speaking.
How about the people that are related to that person and the friends of that person might have an issue with that?
Yes, and that is, of course, based on big parts in culture. And then, of course, yes, I wouldn't exactly want to go ahead and just like eat someone that someone else wants to bury or something. But it's like
exactly.
But that's all just like cultural baggage from like way back when. It would be.
It's part of subjective morals, right?
Yes, but again, like, if more people looked at it the way I do, it wouldn't be nearly as much of an issue.
Yeah, like if everyone was just like, okay, when someone dies, we eat them, and there's definitely tribes that do that, then of course, but barely anyone does.
It seems so wasteful to just bury someone. I don't know. Like,
I'm also not a fan of like. I'm also not a fan of like the high effort and high cost burials for individual dudes, right? But like, see, if Sergei died, just for an example, right? We wouldn't want someone to go ahead and just eat the guy.
He's so skinny, it's barely worth it.
Right, but like, imagine if he wasn't. Like even then, you wouldn't want someone to consume him, right?
I don't care.
You don't?
No, that's the point, right?
Wow. I wonder if you ever come into that situation. You probably won't if you're lucky. But if you ever come into a situation and someone's like, I'm going to eat this friend of yours who just died. And you'll just be like, all right, here's a fork. Go ahead.
Here's a fork that I just happened to be carrying around with me.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's the thing, right? I don't see any categorical moral objections with cannibalism. I see that in individual cases. Of course, you've got to run into the issue where it's like, obviously, it would cause emotional distress to like the people that were close to the deceased, which obviously would then cause thereby moral issues. But I don't see any categorical moral issues with.
By
the way, that's why I'm pro organ donation. By the way, just like as
organ donation is that's very much a different thing, though. That's something that that the person decides by themselves when they're alive.
I would say that in theory, why don't we put that on organ donation cards? Like, oh yeah, like just like anything that can be used, just use it. Like, oh, you're making massage out of me? Great.
I mean, yeah, feed me 12 ounces, sure, that's all fine. Like if as long as the person can actively go out of their way to decide that that's what they want to be done with their dead body once they die, sure, absolutely.
I will say that I also don't exactly see the point in that as a side note. Like, why does it matter what this formerly living person wanted to be done with their remains after they're dead? It's not like they're here to care.
Because if they're not in control over it, it will cause them emotional distress in their living years. Just like it could cause their friends emotional distress once they die. Like if you lived in a society where as soon as you die, they do whatever, and they consume you or do whatever with your corpse that you don't want to be done with your corpse right now, you will worry about that during your life, and that's morally bad.
I mean, that's I think that's also the problem where my viewpoint of course is a little bit detached from that, because it's like, I do not care what happens after I'm dead. I'm gonna be dead. I'm not gonna be there to care.
Correct. Neither do I, by the way. And I also don't have a moral objection to cannibalism, given the all the requirements I just listed, that the person during the living years under their full capacity of sanity decided that that's what they want to be did with their dead body. I still personally wouldn't do it.
I low-key want to put an info card like cannibalism, yay or nay. I don't know. Like a poll.
Given all the requirements we mentioned, are you still opposed to cannibalism or not? You can do that, sure.
I'll see. The thing is, it's gonna be a little weird if someone clicks on the eye icon in the beginning of the video, because it shows you all the info cards, even the ones that haven't shown up yet, and say,
yeah,
what? Like, are you opposed to cannibalism?
You also have to. I think you also have to differentiate between, are you opposed to it like logically, like morally, and would you do it or not?
Right, yes.
Because I would never do it, even though I'm on the same wave as you with those requirements. I'm not opposed to it. Whereas you like you walk up to a butcher shop and there's a human sausage press and a pork sausage press, and you are in the future probably also a vegetarian sausage press, and you're like, well, just give me one of those. Okay.
Oh no. I'm probably gonna have a preference. I mean, I'm gonna definitely try, I guess, all of them, and gonna see which one I like best. I'm generally not one for like the vegetarian substitute sort of stuff.
I'm not.
I like my veggies, but I don't necessarily need my tofu. You know, it's like, that's weird.
Yeah, tofu is apparently very hard to prepare. If I were forced to be vegetarian, I would not be trying to eat mock meats, because I think they're just bad. I don't like them.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
Like whenever we do this right at home, like every once in a while, like every 2 or 3 years or so, right? My parents get the idea to cook up some vegetarian sausages. It's happened like 3 times in my life or something, right? And it's always been like, wow, what is this? This is absolutely awful. Like I would rather just not eat this at all than eat anything, and that's it. So yeah. I've never had mock meat. To me has always been terrible. So if I were a vegetarian, I just not eat any sort of meat. Or
why, right? Like either you eat meat or you don't. Why eat this weird fake meat that doesn't even taste like meat?
For the same reason that starter vapes are shaped like cigarettes, because it's not just the taste to the experience. Sometimes, especially for smokers, they have a big part of the habit is actually, holding the cigarette the way that they do, and dragging on it the way that they do. And for a lot of people who are trying to go vegetarian, it can help to have everything around and have something as close to meat as possible while it's not actually being meat. And one day we'll have lab meat, and this entire discussion will become obsolete, of course.
Kind of. I mean, it still depends on your reason for going vegetarian. If it's like a dietary concern, then the lab meat won't help.
I mean, of course, yeah. No, but it's just a moral concern. The moral concern, of course.
Then again, I have seen people still be upset about the idea of lab-grown meat because they have some sort of oh, I'm not going to eat something fake. It's like, what?
I mean, yeah, okay, then you just don't eat meat. And it's not even fake. It's like a clone. It's the exact same thing.
I know, right? But as soon as it's not in the most natural way possible, someone is going to be like, oh, it's artificial and science. Yeah,
not a moral argument. That's not a moral argument, though, right? That's a
not
sissy
really,
argument.
But at the same time, you know how outraged people get about GMOs, right?
So if you're really hardcore and you're completely consistent with your whatever morals drove you to vegetarianism or veganism, then you would oppose lab meat because the initial beginning of the process requires cells to be harvested from actual animals to then grow into lab
I
meat.
would argue that would only, in theory, need to be done once, right? Because after that, you could take the cells from the lab-grown meat to make more. Mm-hmm. Thereby, once it has been done, you can make infinitely many of. Thereby, by eating that, you're not supporting future harm of animals. And the past harm that has been done
by doing it the first time you are. By doing it the first time you are.
Well, but it's by proxy of someone having done it already. It's not like the other things where it's like, okay, if I eat meat, obviously more animals will need to be killed. But after the lab meat thing happens, it's like there's no more or less harm done to animals just because more or less lab meat is being eaten.
No, but I'm assuming the position of the hardcore vegan or vegetarian, right? In my view, the only moral way is for there to be zero harm done, because that's the only morally logically consistent way that derives from a moral system. So even that, which is, I would agree, very absurd and very unrealistic, like you said, if someone like that were to be perfectly consistent and completely hardline in what they say, they would have to oppose that too.
I just want to make the argument that because it has already, theoretically it has already happened, right? Like, the samples have been taken, and no new samples will have to hypothetically be taken anymore to sustain the process. Thereby,
I don't know.
Again, I'm just claiming that for now and just going with that. But in that case, it wouldn't matter if you then buy lab-grown meat or not.
Because I agree that it would, in practice, not matter to any significant degree. But at some point in that chain of the starting of the production, the cell was harvested from the animal, and the product right now is a descendant of that process. And you can't. It's basically like if you told a vegetarian, well, there's a steak on your plate, just eat it. It's already dead and killed and prepared anyway, right? Same deal.
Yes, but in that case, you could argue that if they don't eat it, someone else might, and if that person then would not have to kill an animal to eat it, sort of an idea, right? Where it doesn't work with the lab-grown meat, where it's like the amount of harm is not affected by the amount of people eating it. Where in practice right now, it would be, right? Because if you eat an already dead animal, that means that someone else won't get to eat that meat, meaning that one more animal will have to be killed down the line to compensate for that.
So there is obviously a wide variety, like almost a circle of opinions and stances to take on this. But the most hardline argument is, or the most hardline stance that you can take is obviously that if any part of the process of the food coming to existence and being prepared to the point where we're eating it involves that sort of a process, it is therefore immoral for me to eat it, and I won't do it. Me personally, of course, like in practice, I agree with you, but there is going to be like a handful of people who will hold that opinion. And that's it. You can sort of derive it to the trolley problem. If you really strip it down of a lot of things, you end up with the trolley problem. But like with the hard valve thing, for example, that's a very similar example. But yes, lab meat one day will be a thing, and it's going to be the biggest part of it is that it's going to be environmentally very friendly, because livestock contributes more pollution to global climate change than all transportation worldwide.
Yep.
So that's going to be.
And by the way, it's also going to cut down on transportation. That's not like because you could probably cost. Because you don't have to grow lab meat like somewhere out in the countryside, like where there's like no humans nearby. Basically, you just do it right in the city.
Big farms. It's less time intensive, and
it's probably going to be healthier.
I don't know if it's going to be healthier. I mean, there's not going to be. They don't need to fix them up with antibiotics and stuff.
That's a big one. Meat, you know, you're not going to have antibiotics, and basically the clone meat would always be the healthiest meat out of the stock, right? Where
it would always be organic.
Where if you have, you should, in theory, there should never be inferior quality meat anymore, because it's all coming from the same genetics.
Yeah.
And also,
Exactly.
again, there's nothing being pumped into them. So you don't have like the old like antibiotics and like multi-resistant blah blah blah.
Yeah. But yeah, the environmental argument is really the biggest one, and on an individual basis, of course, the nutritional health argument. But I think that's the biggest part of it. Let's do the next hypothetical.
I was about to say it's interesting how often we get hung up on the consumption of meat in sometimes human and sometimes not human form, but always.
Yeah.
What animal would be way better if it was covered in scales?
All of them except the ones that already have scales.
I was thinking like cooler, probably all of them, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, of course, some of them would be less practical, but that's about it. Scales are cool.
Usually are, right? Maybe not like cats or dogs or animals like at the petting zoo and stuff.
I was about to say, right? Like
fur.
They're not very cuddly once they're scaly.
Maybe not that, but like a lot of them. Horses, though. Actually, that might hurt their aerodynamics too.
Dude, scaly horses would be very good for like medieval combat, though. Sort of an idea, because they're like they have built-in protection already.
They're plated. Yeah, that's true. So yes, I guess the answer is a lot of them.
Yes.
Most.
Dude, scaly chickens are just straight up dinosaurs. Because chickens are pretty much straight up dinosaurs already.
Yeah, but dinosaurs also didn't really have scales. Like dinosaurs kind of had feathers, like chickens do. They're just never depicted like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose it depends on what era of dinosaurs, right? Because they are reptiles that slowly transitioned into birds. So you would assume that some of the earlier dinosaurs would have been scaly.
Yeah, but like the popular ones, like the T-Rex, for example, totally had feathers.
I like all of the drawings when he's like incredibly fluffy because it's just like huge amounts of feathers.
Yeah.
It's like
But that's totally what it was.
Yeah.
What else we got?
If you could design a planet, what would your perfect planet look like?
Oh my god, this is... let's skip that one.
What would be your strategy for a zombie apocalypse? We did an entire podcast on that once.
Link to the podcast wherever we discussed that.
I wonder how well that holds up, because it's like probably over 2 years old by now.
It was solid though. We're not going to go into it again.
If you could be the CEO of any company, what company would you choose?
That's actually like, okay, so like there's no specifically correct answer, just one of the big ones, right? Like the really big, really evil ones. I mean, like Google or Amazon.
It depends on what you're trying to get out of it, right? If it's about money,
I mean, I want to like sell 40% of it and then run it into the ground.
Whoa! You're not the sole owner. You're just the CEO. You're basically just. Ooh. That doesn't necessarily come with any sort of stocks. I mean,
okay, usually, so then I want to grab a year of salary and then run into the ground. So yeah, it'd be like Google or Amazon or something like that. Like something that pays the most and is the most evil.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the idea would be if obviously you could take a company that you don't like and destroy it that way. You could also just say
that's the best you can do for like the general public.
If you want to make money out of it, then of course just whatever one pays their CEO as well, which is like most of the big ones, and is very likely to live relatively long on its own.
Like a year or two of CEO salary in Google is going to cover you for the rest of your life, and then you can kill one of the worst companies in the world, and that's. I mean, you've done a public service, and you've gotten rich over it. So it would be one like that, like one of the most influential ones, obviously. You could also try turn it around if you want to put effort into it.
What two animals would you like to switch the sounds they make? I think this is a hilarious question, by the way.
Catfish and cows.
What kind of a sound?
Just because of the... What?
What kind of a sound do catfish make?
I mean, I don't really care. I just want them to move, right?
I was about to say...
I don't really care what...
You'd almost want to choose duck for one of them, right? So you just have a random animal just honking around the whole time. Wait, that's not ducks.
You want to have two animals with really weird sounds optimally. How about cows and ducks? That would be cool.
I was almost thinking...
maybe like a really small and a really big one. So just the small one is really loud.
I mean, would it necessarily be equally loud, or would it just sound like it? That's the question, right?
Yeah, no.
Oh God! If it does adjust volume, and then imagine picking something like cicada for one of the sides, and it just becomes like a big animal. It's like incredibly loud.
Yeah, cicadas and elephants. Ooh. Ugh. No, I would like something that's maximum annoyance, right? Like an animal that like flies or something that's constantly there, or like mites or spiders, and that's like everywhere, right? Like,
dude,
but you
all of a sudden spiders start moving. It's like it's like the weirdest thing, or like honking or something.
Like spiders and cows, right? And then all of a sudden, like you hear mooing 24/7. From spiders in like, it would also be really creepy though that you would never notice in your life if they would just shut up.
Yeah, it would also be creepy if you go to like a pasture and all of a sudden the cows are chittering.
Yeah, I mean spiders barely make sounds, right?
I mean the question would be accordingly amplified, but what would also be interesting, of course, is like something like parrot and some sort of ape, right? Where it's like all of a sudden like the ape can imitate speech.
Yeah.
Which it would likely be intelligent enough to use a little more effectively.
Like, not the ape, but like a much lower life form, so it's even stranger.
No, but I was thinking, okay, imagine if you could have gorillas give the ability to parrot sounds a way that a parrot could. Then all of a sudden, it would likely just be able to straight up speak, because it would be able to learn to understand the sounds it hears and... all of a sudden, you just have talking gorillas,
which language
has
already.
Well, yes, but that's been done like once to like relatively decent success.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a complete sign language, yeah, but like an extensive communication via signage.
I mean, yeah, I mean, Coco is a good example of that, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I like that Coco just wanted a cat, and then eventually they decided that Coco would in fact would not just accidentally crush, and they actually gave it a cat, and then Coco the gorilla actually raised a cat. That was pretty cool.
Nice.
That happened.
That's pretty good. Yeah, like I want a cow to switch with several animals just for testing and see which one is the most funny one when they move. Basically, that's what I want. Let's do one more and then we get out of here.
All right. That, by the way, means we went through 8 questions out of the first 10 because we skipped 2.
We're gonna save this and then we're gonna go back to it later.
Oh, this one is actually a very simple one. Would you want to permanently feel 0 pain if given the chance?
No. Bad idea. Very bad.
There is people who have that and they do injure themselves constantly.
It's not good because like something will happen and you won't feel it and you will die very quickly.
Again, there is people that are like that, and yes, they constantly accidentally injure themselves. Yeah, because they don't realize it. And
that's a problem.
You get all sorts of crazy burns.
Yeah, definitely not.
That is a really bad idea. Like, it sounds good if you don't think about it, but it's actually pretty bad.
One of the worst ideas. It's a bad idea. Don't do it. That's it for hypotheticals today. Drop a like on the video if you did.
Only 160 more to go.
Boy, yeah, it's fun though. Like we're not gonna do every one obviously because some of them are just like too extensive. Like how would you design your world one? That's almost like just repetition of other stuff that you can just piece together.
Oh yeah, by the way, we could like for some of the more complicated ones, we could just sort of make them full topics at some point as well.
Yeah, we could. Let's filter through the list and figure out which ones are good. But we'll definitely get back there because it's a very interesting debate topic. But for today, we're gonna hit you with the songs of the week. Play you a snippet of those if we are legally allowed to do so. That's gonna be determined.
If not,
when we
there will be
the
info
video,
cards.
So we'll see. There'll be info cards exactly. So JJ, what is your song of this week?
Well, every now and again, you come across a song or you get recommended a song and you're like, I can't believe I don't have this in my collection yet. Like, this is like one that I've been like kind of aware of for a while, but never really added or something. And then like...
Is that something that potentially occurred to you?
Yes, I mean, I am currently basically explaining how I came to this song. So,
okay, go ahead.
The viewer might be aware that Alex and I share songs a lot to make each other wear songs, and
we share every song.
Yes, and so there was one that I can't believe I didn't have it before, and honestly, I swear I heard it once, and I was like, oh, I should add this to my collection, and then it's like, I forgot about it, obviously, and now Alex showed it to me, and now I finally added it. And that is...
Oh, it's one of the music shares.
Yes, and that is Safety Dance by Men Without Hats.
We can dance, everybody look at your hands. We can dance, everybody's taking a chance. Safe to dance, oh, it's safe to dance. Yes, safe to dance.
Right, I know, right? Yeah. A similar effect happened to me also, actually. So now here's the thing, right? I first heard this song in an episode of Family Guy when they infiltrated like Bill Gates's party, and then they played that song while they were doing a distracting dance, like Peter and Glenn. So that's where I heard it. I was like, oh, I forgot. Like Family Guy. I mean, say what you want, right? But they play good music, man. A lot of actually very good songs, like Surfing Bird too. Like, you know, that's where the entire Bird is Word meme comes from, because like he buys the vinyl of Surfing Bird, and he plays it nonstop 24/7, and that's where that comes from. But yes, that also to me from Family Guy, it's a good song. I would agree. My song of the week is one that is also in the music share, but only ended up there, I think, like yesterday at the point of recording. So you might not have heard it before. It's Might Be Right by White Reaper.
I have, in fact, not heard that song before, but I'm just going to assume that it is at least decent.
It is, and we're going to actually do an experiment after this, because this is something that I clearly, that I find interesting. I'm not going to say too much, but we're going to listen to it. I'm going to just ask you a question about it, let you guess something about it, and then we'll see. But everyone go listen to it, check them out, and drop a like on the video. I mentioned that already. Subscribe to TrashcanTV if you haven't done that yet. More Hearthstone content coming out over the week, and a podcast every Saturday. So subscribe, join our Discord server if you want to hang out with us personally and the community, which is a great place to discuss the intricacies of the game that is Hearthstone. So until next time, JJ.
That's it.
That's it.